look at the guys that have been the main reason why it's been so successful, Rosario, Polanco, Kepler, Buxton, the Garver, like these guys, and then you look at the pitching staff, Berrios, Odorizzi, Gibson, like it's the same team plus a couple of veterans.
Yeah, and obviously Odorizzi, nobody saw this coming. I mean, the guy's like Cy Young right now. Will it continue? I don't know. I mean, it's a little out of nowhere. I hope he's not on roids or anything.
Yeah, really.
And I mean, they're getting some innings out of Perez, and I don't know. It's just. Again, the division is weak. Let's not kid ourselves. But I needed to see something positive, and I saw it last weekend when they beat Tampa 3-4. Really.
Yes, and are you buying into this whole narrative that they don't beat good teams? Like, you only can play who's on your schedule, but when you go in and beat Tampa 3 out of 4, and Tampa's battling it out right now with the Yankees. I think they're in second now, but Tampa's 14 games over 500. Like, that's a big series win, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on the competition they've played? And if they're contenders or not.
Up until then, I was still questioning it. I needed to see something positive, either against Tampa. They went 1-2 against the Yankees, 4-3 against Houston, which was great. But then they kind of didn't play anyone for a while, and then they came up to this Tampa series. It's like, well, let's see them do something on the road. They did it. I was impressed. I mean, it takes a lot to impress me.
Yeah, it does.
And I mean. I don't know. I mean, at this point, anything short of winning this division by 10 games, I don't know how they don't, unless several major pitching injuries. But they're kind of babying these guys anyway. They're not getting, they're only going their 6 innings, and then that's okay. We're taking you out, maybe 7. But you see exactly when they lose, like these 2 games against Cleveland, they're going to have to get a couple guys in that bullpen. I'm sorry, but
terrible, Dave.
I know. I don't know. I know that what you think? Should they have? I mean, obviously 3 years is a lot for Kimbrel.
Kimbrel was asking for way too much for me. I mean, he was sort of suspect in the playoffs, I thought. I mean, he was shaky against the Yankees, and he was shaky the whole postseason. Do I think look, at the end of the day, like, it's still the Twins. Like, they're still going to be cheap in my opinion. Like, they're just getting really lucky right now with these guys just overachieving. But to go out and see Kimbrel and Keuchel get signed like this, it just kind of makes you think, man, like, they have to fortify that bullpen, because you look at that series against Cleveland. I mean, they should have won 2 nights ago when they were up in that rain delay. You give up, I think they gave up 3 in the 7th and then 1 in the 8th, and they completely choke away that game. Now, granted, they're still up 10.5 games, whatever it may be. But to win in the postseason, Dave, you have to have a steady and dependable bullpen. I don't think the Twins have that right now.
No, and the hitting's not going to be like it is in a playoff series. It won't be like that. I mean, they're not that great. They're not the 82 Brewer. I mean, they're just not. They're not the greatest thing ever lineup. But you're right. That you score 7 runs in the game, you got to win. And that was bad the other night. The question is this team going to be willing to give up prospects, which they're going to have to do now, to get a couple of decent relievers in here?
Yep.
I'm assuming they're not going to go after a starter. Now last night's signing, that one kind of bothered me a little bit.
Which one?
The Kershaw signing.
No, the Keuchel or Kimbrel?
Oh, Keuchel, I'm sorry.
Keuchel,
Who am I saying? Kershaw. I don't know how to say his name. That's sad.
Yes, Keuchel with the Braves.
1 year. Could we have not,
I think it was 1 year, $16 million, I think. Was it 16?
Nothing, but it's prorated, too. $20 million, but it's prorated to 16.
Yeah.
You telling me they couldn't have done that?
No, I was begging for them. Just make a move. Like, you got to do something here. Show me that you guys are all in. They just kind of they look like they're playing with house money, and maybe they are. But at least show me that you guys think that you can compete with the Yankees and Astros. Do you think they can, Dave? Because right now, I don't know if they can beat the Astros in a best of 7. I don't know if they can beat the Yankees in a best of 5. Say they face them in that first round. I don't know. Because the bullpen really, really scares me. And for me to put out Barreros, Odorizzi, even though he has a 1.96 right now, or Gibson to go win a game at Yankee Stadium, I just don't see it, Dave.
No, I don't either. And really, Berrios, I mean, he had a decent game against Tampa, but he still really hasn't beaten any big dogs and pitched really well dominating against them. So
no,
he hasn't a dominating guy yet. So I just hope it isn't gonna be one of those deals where their attendance is probably gonna be good the rest of the summer because they're exciting to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I just hope when it gets down to that, trade deadline that they just say, nah, let's just coast into the playoffs and see what happens. We got further than we got better than we thought we did this year. I just hope they don't do that.
I hope they don't.
I don't want them to half-ass it, and because there's no way they win with the current bullpen. And I'll be curious to see what they do.
Yeah, and another thing is like you never know if you're going to get back in this position too, Dave. Like, a couple of years ago when they made it to the playoffs with Mulder, he won Manager of the Year. That next year they didn't sniff the playoffs. So like baseball is tricky that way. Like if you're in this position, you might as well go all in, right?
I agree, and we deserve it. The team, the fans deserve it in Minnesota. And let's be honest, the league isn't real killer this year. I mean, yeah, Houston's scary, but the Yankees, I guess, but that's just because of past experience. Boston, who knows what they're doing?
Yeah.
And we proved we can play with Tampa, so why not go for it? I mean, there's no real great clubs out here. I mean, except for the Dodgers and the NL. I mean, really, why not? I just hope they don't go cheap and just kind of, get someone who's okay.
What it looks like they're going to do.
Yeah, we'll see. But at least for now, it's exciting to turn them on every night and watch. And, when they lose, it kind of bothers you.
Yeah, for sure.
But I just don't. I hope they go aggressive and get a couple relievers. I'd like to see a starter or a reliever because I just don't think I don't think this guy they brought up is gonna. I don't think his long term is gonna be starting. I'm sorry, his name escapes me. The guy
Mulder? What the lefty?
Yes, the lefty they brought up here a week ago. He pitched really good against Milwaukee, and then. Yep. He only gave up like 5 hits against Cleveland, but like 4 of them were just bombs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's his name's are your guy that is on the disabled list already.
Pineda already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, I just don't want Gibson. You don't want Gibson in a game 3. I don't want to see it.
All right, a year from now, Dave, we're going to look back at this. Where do the Twins finish here? Do we get past a round? Do we get to the pennant? Do we win the pennant? Do we win the World Series? Gut feeling right now, where's this team going to head?
Well, I think they're going to win the division for sure. I say 95 wins, but I can't answer it right now because I need to. If they don't do anything, they're not getting past the first round, in my opinion. I just think they're going to have to go to Houston or New York. I just don't see it.
I don't either, Dave. I really don't. I 100% agree with you. Yeah, go.
I'm sorry. Good pitching will shut down good hitting any time, and Houston's got it, and I still think Boston's going to make a push. I think Boston, Tampa will be your 2 wild card teams, don't you?
Yeah, no, I agree. And another thing that scares me is the experience. They don't have a ton of playoff experience either. I mean, obviously Cruz does, Gonzalez has, but your pitching staff. I mean, what do they all have? 1? Gibson. I don't think Gibson didn't pitch, but Barreros came in. I remember in that Yankee game when Santana got roughed up. But there's not a lot of playoff experience on this team either.
No, so they need to find a couple some pitching arms that have some experience. So.
All right, let's shift gears here to the NBA real quick, Dave. A couple more minutes left here with Negative Dave. He's finally back. He's better than ever. Derrick Rose came out with this new book, and he basically, and I read a little of it. Michael Rand of Star Tribune came out with an article. He had some excerpts from it. I'll read them to you. In his new book, it's called I'll Show You. So here's some of the quotes that he came up with here. This is Derrick Rose. Quote, nothing against Karl Anthony Towns. He's cool and he's good. But you get these kids and you spoil them before they achieve anything. According to Rose, the timing of these extensions did not sit well with Butler. Quote, Jimmy was feeling, why'd y'all pay them first? And I was the one that got you to the playoffs. That's all it was, he added. Jimmy wasn't doing it, right? Though he was right. I don't know what that end of it means, but that was the quote he gave me. I don't know here, Dave. I mean, I've always been team Jimmy Butler, but this really puts into perspective why he was so upset. I think he has a really good point because after they traded Butler, they signed Towns to an extension a week later. Why would you offer Karl Towns, and especially, we don't have to get into Wiggins. Towns, you can make a case for getting his max deal because he has 2 All-Star game appearances and he was an All-NBA third team this year. But for Wiggins, I mean, Jimmy's right here. Until he got to this team, they didn't sniff the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, why is Derrick Rose writing a book? I mean, what has he done in his career? What's chapter 1? How to pick out a good pair of crutches?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it. He's still playing. I mean, he's injured all the time. He hasn't accomplished anything in his career. It's just jealousy.
He won an MVP. I'll give him that.
Well, yeah, he did. Okay, yeah, he did. He's had nothing in the playoffs, really.
No.
I mean, they got, the semis? 1 year? Maybe
no, he hasn't done anything in the postseason.
I wish he would have just shut. I mean, can these guys just shut their mouth? I mean, I don't know. Towns is so sensitive too. I mean, this will probably really kill him. I mean, not kill him. It's like set him back now. Yeah. Like the Scarecrow on The Wizard of Oz. I don't know. The source bothers me. I don't know. You know the basketball game better than I do. I'm not a Derrick Rose guy. I just don't think he should have done this. He doesn't need the money. I don't know why he's writing a book now. Write it when you retire or when you're in your next injury. The guy who's had his career, you keep your mouth shut at this point, don't you?
It was weird timing for the book. Like, usually these guys come out with books after they retire, and I know Rose still wants to play, so that kind of threw me off. And if I'm Jimmy Butler, I don't know. Am I a little upset that he probably asked Butler if it was cool if he kind of quoted him. But I was really just trying to focus on the fact that do you think Jimmy Butler has a point where he says, why are they paying them when they didn't even come near to the playoffs until I got there?
You know what? Considering what happens in life, people at their jobs, I think Jimmy just needs to shut up. He's not in the real world. Nice job. Nice job. You lost in the first round this year. I mean, again, Butler, I know he's good. He's great. Good, great. But
I think Butler's a 2. He's a number 2 on a great team. He can't lead as a number 1. That's my thought on Butler.
Yeah, I think both those guys, in my opinion, those guys are just a couple of loudmouths that need to go away. I'm glad, I don't know, I'm just glad Butler's gone. Let's see what happens. Just leave us alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. You already did enough.
These guys haven't accomplished anything in their career. If they had a championship, long run of history, like a Magic Johnson or Bird Jordan was, off the charts. But, you want a little credibility. You want a little credibility to their career before they start chirping. Exactly. Okay. That's my point of view on it. And not only that, the guy ruined our season. Butler, the whole thing that's just embarrassing. You know what I mean?
It was 100% embarrassing. Let me just read you some stats real quick that I looked up. This is Wiggins' record without Jimmy Butler. Do you want to guess this, Dave? So he's in his 6th year. Do you want to guess?
Him?
Yes.
Oh.
Do you want to guess what Wiggins' record is without Butler?
I know it can't be good.
112 and 216.
Yeah.
That is, and Towns is 96 and 150. They really, here's Wiggins' first year, 16 and 66, second year, 31 and 51, third year, 29 and 53. Then he had his year with Butler, which was 47 and 35 and an 8 seed. He had a couple of 36 and 46s. That is just brutal. And Wiggins is entering year 2 of his 5-year, $146.5 million max deal.
Say, since we're on the subject, I'm still waiting for the Dave, you are a god text from you. Because if you go back in the archives, you laughed at me when I said Ryan Saunders will be the next coach of this team. And we haven't talked since then.
Oh, man, I was wishing you didn't bring this up.
You laughed at me. I want you to go to the tapes this weekend and find it. And I told you, he said, there's absolutely no way they hire this guy. Huh. No way? I'm surprised it took
I was